Hello, everyone. It is a bright, sunny day here in the Bronx, and I'm talking to, and I'm going to tentatively title this one, What's Going On Under the Corona Hood? As in, what's going on under the hood of the car? What's actually making it move? It looks like there are a lot of forces at work. Very quickly, some of the obvious media stuff, which I won't talk about too much because I talk a lot about media. People get kind of tired of it. My legions of fans are now experts, along with my students, as to what the media is all about. And the people who read my blog, they understand what the media is up to because I show them exactly what it's up to with videos and pictures and explanations. So, but very quickly, the media thing I spoke about at the blog was the media in January versus the media now. So the media seems to understand now that it's possible many old people could be at risk for the coronavirus, and if they're overly exposed and don't self-quarantine, the novel coronavirus could get them, and because they're going to be compromised with weaker immune systems, they could take a loss, get very sick, and or die. So that's very different than what they were saying in January, which was that Donald Trump was racist for even talking about and then eventually doing a travel ban to China, to and from China, travel ban. And he was called a racist and a far-right emotional loser. I mean, they called him all kinds of names, all the usual stuff in the press. So that's on the blog lately. And I'm explaining this, of course, to students. I used a video recently. What did I use that worked? Oh, I used a Tucker Carlson video. And it has so far been seen by multitudinous teenagers in my two sections, and they see what Carlson is talking about. Oh, but Carlson's on Fox News, faux news. Well, they don't care. These are black teenagers from the bad neighborhood. You don't get to stand up in the Starbucks while sipping your latte and gobbling down avocado toast and say, and have that mean anything. Oh, it's Fox News. Everything they say is fake and Tucker Carlson's a Nazi. Well, guess what? So far, every single teenager who has commented on it without my poisoning the well, because I do an honest job as a teacher and I say, what do you think? And if I had shown you this video and use it as an example of CNN and its ilk lying dangerously, would this video have fit the bill? And yep, it's got Tucker Carlson's face on it, Fox News plastered right on the lower left-hand corner, and they just see it for what it is. Unlike you, they don't see, oh, Fox News, that's terrible. That's, OMG, where's Rachel Maddow? No, they just watch it, and they get it. So you're going to have to deal with these people, my students, in the next 5 or 10 years, and they're not going to buy your nonsense about, oh, if so-and-so says something and he's on Fox, or he's at the Wall Street Journal, or he's independent or self-published, therefore you can dismiss the words. Those days are, if they're not already over with anyone under the age of 45, they're coming to a quick end. So that's the brief interlude as to what's going on in class, the online class, and the blog that I run. So the next topic is what's going on under the hood, and the aid package was just approved. It was all over the newspapers. And I have to thank Dave Smith, the great Scott Horton, Owen Benjamin, Vox Day, Monica Perez, Hotep Jesus. Who am I forgetting? And there are other people on the list who, in listening to all these people, have allowed me to give you a 15, 20-minute presentation. But I'm good at distilling the info and explaining it to you in a way that you understand. You don't have to listen to the 3 hours of podcasts that I did yesterday and today. Let's do it in 15, 20 minutes. That's why I'm titling this What's Going On Under the Hood, and I thank those people for sharing their insight and information and all of their backgrounds. Oh, Mance Raider, the Free Man Beyond the Wall. He has Monica Perez on, and they're great. So, and David Stockman. Got it. Now, that's for the economic stuff, because what's going on in the coronavirus aid package, as usual, you want to look out and you want to analyze who's getting the money and the power. And you hear it, the echoes from Watergate back in the 1970s, when someone had mentioned, well, what about the people taking power, and how are we going to figure out who did this, and all of these kinds of things. And they said, follow the money. And the part that I think was left out was follow the power as well, because that's key. So when you look at those kinds of things, much of this gets easier. And it also gets a little bit more depressing. But if you're aware of what's going on, it stops being depressing. It starts being invigorating and enlivening, because you get it. You understand. So very quickly, the aid package was approved. Americans making up to $75,000 will get something between $750 or $1,200. And I want to say, I don't remember exactly what it was, $200 or $500 for each child in the house. I believe the ceiling on that is $75,000 a year. I make more than that, which means I'm not getting anything, but that's fine. I do okay, so I'm not crying about that. Let it go that way. But here's the part that I don't really talk about that much, and it's the stupendous, insane levels of debt that are being created out of thin air while doing this, and the amount of money that's being created out of thin air to do this, and the exceedingly ridiculous 0% interest rates that are going to be continued in order to do this. Now, what that means is the Federal Reserve, the entity that controls, in my opinion, it controls the United States, if not the modern world. It will also see to it that its large corporations get what they need as well. So not only is the Federal Reserve, has it instantly created, I think it's something like $2 or $3 trillion in debt just this year, in order to see to it that companies like Boeing and others are okay. So the American person gets $1,200. Boeing, which took in all of its own profit for the last 10 years, after the last bubble blew apart in the housing crisis in 2008, it got money. All the banks did. Goldman Sachs, Citibank, now back then it was Citigroup, JPM Chase, all the big players. They got massive amounts of cash inflows, courtesy of the central bank, the Federal Reserve, and then the stock market and their stocks, and they bought back stocks and created value on the stock market, paper value, and they made massive amounts of money, which normally is fine, but this is being done on your back, meaning you're going to get $1,200 in a check mailed to you, $1,200. The large corporations that you pretend to hate are going to get much more than that. They're going to get a new life, and they're going to have access to basically interest rate free money, probably forever, or at least until the dollar itself breaks, and then we have other serious problems. So while you're screaming about how Donald Trump is racist to put in a travel ban to China in January, the Federal Reserve and its friends were planning on this kind of thing, and the dark government, the deep state, that you were told for many years was fake. Now you believe it's real because the New York Times told you so. They were briefing senators and congressmen on the coronavirus coming, and boom, it becomes a gigantic thing. And senators and congressmen have sold stock at a profit right before the crisis hit. Right? You got to love it. Dianne Feinstein, the woman Democrat from California. Why does she offload travel companies, airlines, and hotel stocks 7 weeks ago or 5 weeks ago or whatever it was? That's pretty amazing. And so, I mean, that's insider trading. And because you don't, you're worried about Orange Man bad. All of these things are happening in the government and corporate class. They're making out like bandits. You're getting a check for $1,200. That's all it takes to buy you off? That's it? And then you have these all kinds of government overreach. You've got, and I want you to, I want you to think about this carefully because it flies in the face of everything you've been taught. You've been taught, and I'm in New York City, so I know what you've been taught. You've been taught Democrats good, Republicans bad. Well, Bill de Blasio, whose real name is Warren Wilhelm, why did he change it? And he's from wealthy Cambridge, Massachusetts, not New York City like I am. He's angry, and all he does is badmouth Donald Trump. And you know why? Because Trump hasn't called in the military to come in and take over New York City and hold it down while the novel coronavirus crisis is here. This is a guy who's done nothing but call Donald Trump literally Hitler for 3.5 years. And Hitler and Nazi and fascism and all bad. Now he's calling him bad, and why? Because Trump hasn't brought in the United States military to hold down the city while COVID-19 works its way through the system. Now, isn't that a little strange to you? If you're a politician and you purport to hate the other politician, why would you want that person in control of federal armed troops in your city? And you have a police department. NYPD still exists. They're out and working. They're essential services. FDNY, all of it. But no, he wants military in the city so that the proles, if they get out of line, can be smacked around a little bit. This is your Democratic mayor, Democrat Party, Bill de Blas, at work as we speak. So you're getting your future earnings, your elders' retirement portfolios, and or Social Security. You're going to now, all of those took a huge hit. Any savings you had took a hit. Any kind of interest-bearing anything, CDs, your stock market account just got vaporized, 30% down. Everything took a big loss. You, not corporate government class. They seem to be doing okay. So when you hear about somebody like Rahm Emanuel, during the chief of staff during the Obama years, saying you never let a crisis go to waste, he was right. You never do let a crisis go to waste. And government types have been talking about this for 150 years. Once America got taken over by those people, this is probably during the progressive era, and then again right after World War II were the big hits. You have America basically becoming a being upon which a parasite can feed. Because you're working, now you have Boeing and Goldman Sachs strapped to your back for the next 10 years. Your work and your taxes are going to go and help benefit them in addition to you trying to benefit yourself. Think about that. You're dragging Boeing. You've got Boeing strapped over you and you're dragging it through the sand, trying to get from point A to point B. And Goldman Sachs is just sitting in the tub that you're pulling, and Boeing is sitting there, and they've helped do nothing. Crash the economy twice now. Oh, the second one was coronavirus. Oh, okay. What did they get out of coronavirus? They didn't get a $1,200 check. They're going to get 0% interest rates. They're going to get free money. You're going to see to it they will not fail. Boeing and Goldman will not fail. And I just use them as examples. Could be Starbucks. Could be Toyota, although Toyota's Japanese. So let's just say Chrysler. All of that stuff. They're not going to get hurt. You will now be working not only to pay your federal government between 10 and 40% in tax, you're now going to be trying to save money for retirement, save money to get your children some extra stuff, maybe go to a better school. And you're going to encounter serious headwinds courtesy of the corporate government class that is now just swimming in money and swimming in power. And I'll talk to you just a little bit about, real quick, let me go back to the press. The same press that was yelling about government bailouts during the W. Bush years was suddenly silent about company corporate bailouts during the Obama years. Interesting. Here's a problem. They don't seem to be screaming to the heavens about the corporate bailout thing now, and I don't know why. I don't see the kind of backlash that I saw back in W. Bush era bailouts, which is I don't quite see it. I don't understand why. But so that's weird. You know, the behavior of the press is always one of those things that fascinates me because they're so dedicated to the narrative they almost can't help themselves in looking ridiculous. So I'll leave you with this part now. I think it's time that you stop looking at everything with a surface level analysis only. I know people whose only media source is mainstream media sources are mainstream corporate media source A, B, and sometimes C. I don't care what the source is. All they do is they get you worrying about the coronavirus and is Donald Trump a racist. And that's it. That's all I see in the corporate press. My neighbor gets the New York Times and someone else gets the Wall Street Journal. It's all they talk about. Now, the Wall Street Journal's hard news is pretty good. Their editorial page is a joke. But they're hard news because, remember, they're servicing the bankers. The top 1% of the 1% reads the Wall Street Journal. So their like regular news is actually pretty good because they want that clientele to get the real deal. So you can kind of, it's kind of weird. Like those people that fly above my neighborhood in helicopters, they go from their estate in Connecticut, they fly over the Bronx where I live and probably laughing. And then they land at the helipad down in Midtown. Those people read the Wall Street Journal. And Scott Horton pointed this out, and he's right. Because I've always liked the regular news of the Wall Street Journal and also of Investors Business Daily. Now I get it. Horton brought this up. He's totally right. They give the news to the top 1% of the 1%. So it better be good. Otherwise, they're not going to have readers. So it's vital, especially now, that you look at what's actually going on under the hood. The winners at the top are winning again. You're getting $1,200. That's all it takes to buy you off? There's names for that kind of thing. So everybody is looking the wrong way, pointing the fingers at the wrong people, and it's just completely mental. So I think what you should do is expand your scope, I'll, if I can remember, link to some of the things I got in my journey in learning about this crisis, and I'll share them with you as well. So keep your eyes on the money, the power, who's going into debt, how is it going to be financed, what is the Federal Reserve doing, how is it doing it, and how will it affect you in the future? Because if you're here in the United States and you're going through this in real time like I am, it's going to affect you later. And if you make the best out of it and you're smart and you're well informed, you're going to be fine. If you are simply shrieking orange man bad all the time, you're going to lose. Talk to you next time. No homework on this one. Just pay attention, stay in good spirits, and don't be afraid. Take care.